This is the Wiffoo. Maybe I'm lost, the little bear said, feeling the worry well up in his head. Deep in a forest in Washington state, he knew to be home before it got late. The little bear, you see, he's walking along. Beautiful forest land. But a very old spruce was standing nearby and felt a bit sorry for that little guy. Beautiful woods. They have the most beautiful forests in Washington state. Wait, said the tree. What you need to do is sit for a bit with our buddy Wiffoo. The tree. Who is Wiffoo? The bear asked the tree, and why do you think that she could help me? But just as he spoke, Bear heard the sound of rumbles and mumbles from under the ground. That big old tree pushed his roots with a turn, moving the moss that covered a fern. Unfurling the curling up fronds opened wide, and a furry green ball was tucked up inside. The ground is starting to move. Whoa. There's a little furry green ball. Can you see that? The Wiffoo awoke and stretched her limbs out. She wiggled her ears and jiggled her snout. She'd long shaggy hair, as green as the trees, and supersized feet under knobbly knees. Then the bear watched as Wiffoo slid down to meet and to greet with him on the ground. Hi there, she said, as they stood face to face. How did you find us and our magic place? There's the Wiffoo coming down from the trees. And Bear's going, what the heck? Well, then I would too, wouldn't we? I simply got lost, the little bear said, but Wiffoo was instantly shaking her head. Oh, no. You are not lost. You must speak with care. It's just that you're here and you want to be there. Everyone's here wherever they are, but want to be there. It's truly bizarre. No. Look at his little ears. His big ears. You've lost me, said Bear. What is it you're saying? I know that I'm here, but I am not staying. Then Wiffoo nodded and furrowed her brow. Nobody stays in the here and the now. The funny thing is, I think you will find we sometimes get lost inside our own mind. Wiffoo continued, we all have a choice to choose and to use the right inner voice. She gave a wee chuckle and said with a wink, you might be surprised the things that you think. I get it, said Bear. You'd flip what I say to make it sound better in your Wiffoo way, but you cannot change a thing that is real. Perhaps, said Wiffoo, if that's what you feel. Then she looked back to her home in the trees. I've only one question for you, if you please. Why did the spruce call me out today? When you walked by, what did you first say? You remember? The little bear thought about what he uttered. I said I was lost, he quietly muttered. Then Wiffoo sat, so Bear did the same. She sighed and she smiled and said, let me explain. What you say matters. It really is true. Your ears and your fears, they are listening to you. Don't say I'm lost, say I'm finding my way, for you have the power to choose what you say. Okay, said the bear, I'll give it a try. I am not lost, he said to the sky. But to his surprise, and before the last letter, his mood and his mind began to feel better. It's working, he said. Amazing the way it appears that my ears believe what I say. Things are looking better. I love that picture. Happy bear. A long time has passed since the two of them met, but Little Bear promised he'd never forget all that he learned from his friend the Wiffoo and how we make life from our own point of view. So when you get sad and life brings you down, remember your power to flip it around. There's happiness always deep inside you when you seek it and speak it, just like the Wiffoo. The end. There's the Wiffoo. That is the story of the Washington Wiffoo. So, if there is a little person in your life, hi guys, you're very welcome. Here are a few questions to ask them, okay? Why do you think Bear was worried at the start of the story? So you can go back and remember. Maybe I'm lost, the little bear said. So he thought he was lost. That's why he was a little bit scared. And then it's a great idea, it's a great opportunity to say to the kids, what would you do if you got lost? This is a really important question because I do it in the schools all the time. And the kids are full of suggestions. But the most important thing is, are their parents on the same wavelength? In other words, if the child decides they're going to go back to the last place they met their parents, that's one thing. Or have their parents decided, stay where you are and I will find you? That's probably the most common one. The ultimate, I think, correct answer to the what would you do if you got lost is discuss it with your family, discuss it with the kids, discuss it with the parents, whatever. So you agree that you're doing the same thing. You agree the same point. In other words, the child is told, go back to where you last saw me, or you tell your child, you stay put and I'll do the running, the walking to find you. Maybe you're at a fun fair or you're at a school show, I don't know. Or maybe you tell them, go and talk to the nearest parent, mom or dad that you see with kids. But whatever it is, you decide with your child what your plan of, make a plan of action for when a child gets lost, because take it from me, kids get lost. Why does Wiffoo think what we say matters? So you can go back through the story for that. What you say matters. It really is true. Your ears and your fears that are listening to you, which goes back to what I was talking to you guys about, that we're always listening to our inner voice. The sooner we get kids to understand that there is an inner voice and we're listening to it, the better, because we can control what that inner voice says just by stepping outside our own minds for a little while, which is much easier said than done, which is why we introduce it early. Can you give an example of flipping an idea? I really had fun with this one in the schools, okay? The one I use to help kids is I gotta empty the dishwasher, because kids, maybe they're lucky enough to have a dishwasher in their house and then they get cross when they have to empty it. I gotta empty the dishwasher. You can flip that idea into I get to empty the dishwasher because we have one, because there's a machine washing my dishes. I'm so lucky. So I gotta into I get to is a way of flipping an idea. But the kids come out with the craziest things in the schools. You know, they would throw a teacher under the bus. They give out about friends. It's funny, but that's flipping an idea. Flipping an idea is taking something that is real. That's not going to change the reality, but how we think about it can totally change the day. I gotta. That's a good one. And do you think words matter? This is something we discuss with the kids a lot, you know, and what we say matters because that really, really does. You know, we just to reframe things in a positive frame of mind. I did get some pushback on that recently from, I have kids in their 20s now. And somebody said to me, that's called toxic positivity. Because I'm living in Dublin now. I used to live in Sligo. And one of the things we used to say is, oh, it's cold or it's raining. And we joke and go, well, it's raining even more in Sligo. And that's not toxic positivity. If you compare to something worse to make yourself feel good, better. Yeah, okay, you call it toxic positivity if you want, but you know what? It's positivity. I'll take toxic positivity over negativity any day. Maybe there's a better way to wrap things up, but anything is better than negativity. Trying to be positive. So words do matter. Yeah. So this is the Washington Wiffoo. We got some fun facts about Washington. Washington's state insect is the green I'm going to try that again. Washington's state insect is the green darner dragonfly, which predates the dinosaur by millions of years. So that's kind of cool, older than dinosaurs. Olympic National Park in Washington State is home to 4 rainforests. That is actually where we came up with the idea for this book to be in a forest, because I do not think Washington State, Washington State is the one up in the top left, not to be mistaken with Washington, D.C. It's known as the Evergreen State, which is why we have a little green character, and all our scenes are in the forest with ferns and moss and magical green things. Washington State is bordered in the north by British Columbia, Canada. In the USA, it has Idaho to the east and Oregon to the south. And you can check out the Oregon Ogwen on United Tales of America. That is a fairy tale we've done. It's been narrated. It's a beautiful story. Not yet in book format, but it is coming. We've had an amazing experience in the schools actually last week. Just gave me goosebumps. If it's okay, I'll share it with you. That the teacher gave the kids the homework of picking whatever videos they wanted to watch online. I love the fact that the fairy tales are in video format because it's getting more and more difficult to get books into kids' hands because the same as adults, they're not interested. There's so much going on in the world. So at least if they're watching the video, we have curated subtitles. I don't know if you've noticed this. If there are subtitles on a movie you're watching, you kind of end up reading as you go along. So the kids are reading the subtitles, maybe not all of them, but even half of them. I'll take that as a win. They're reading the subtitles as they're watching the story. So it's a way of getting these life skills into children and boosting their literacy while they're watching a video and they don't even realize that they're reading, that you have them. Maybe you're traveling in the car, you're taking some older child to soccer practice and you've got someone in the back. Yeah, you can give them your phone and you can give them the United Tales website to, it's a map of America and you tap on the state and that state comes to life then and they read the story to you. So it's a great way to get the kids reading. So the lovely thing that happened to me this week in the school was the teacher sent the kids home to watch one of the videos, whatever one they wanted. And a little boy came up to me. He loved the Delaware Dragon and where could he get the book? We haven't even written the book for the Delaware. Sorry, we've written the story, but we haven't produced the book yet. So it's incredible that we're actually building up demand, that kids are wanting books that we haven't even produced yet. This is pretty unique in book publishing these days, guys, folks. People don't queue up for books in children's literature. So we're really excited about that. Moving on with the book. Can you draw a Wiffoo? Can you draw a bear? The reason these pages are so important is that's when a kid thinks about the story more. That's how you kind of soak the story into the child and the message. They'll go scan back through the book and they'll look at the pictures and the words. Yeah, it's really funny about book writing. People always interview the authors, which I think is just mad because it's the illustrators are the magic person in a child's book because it's the pictures that communicate not only with children but with adults. The pictures are the magic in a children's book. But yeah, people keep interviewing the authors. So that's it. That is the story of the Washington Wiffoo. If you voted for this to be read this week, thank you very much. It was 55-45 in favor of the Wiffoo. The Miggle Nut, I think I have a copy of the paperback here. The Miggle Nut is the one that came in second. So this is the main Miggle Nut. So I am going to read that one next Sunday.